The year is 1912. The air in Sussex is thick. It is a cold, wet morning. Fog hangs low over the fields. It clings to the hedgerows and ancient stones. The world feels old here. It feels quiet. The silence is broken only by the drip of water from bare branches. The ground is soft and dark with rain. It smells of damp earth. It smells of decaying leaves. This is a land of secrets, a land that holds its history close. The fog hides the horizon. It blurs the line between what is real and what is imagined. Anything could emerge from this grey emptiness, a ghost, a memory, or a discovery that could change everything we know about ourselves. In this quiet corner of England, something is about to stir. Something is waiting in the dark soil. It has been there for a long time, or perhaps it has not. The story begins not with a shout, but with a whisper, a rumour carried on the damp air. Charles Dawson, an amateur archaeologist, walks these fields. He is a man with a keen eye for the unusual. He searches for fossils, for fragments of a forgotten time. He believes this land holds the key to a great puzzle, the puzzle of human origins. He is driven by a powerful ambition, a desire to make his mark on history, a hunger for a discovery that will echo through the ages. He spends his weekends and holidays digging in the gravel pits near Piltdown Common. He finds flint tools. He uncovers the bones of ancient animals. These are small discoveries, interesting but not world-changing. He knows there is something more. He can feel it. The land seems to promise it. A significant find would bring him the recognition he craves. It would lift him from the world of amateur collectors into the halls of the scientific elite. He just needs to find the right piece. The one piece that fits the puzzle perfectly. The discovery happens slowly. It is not a single dramatic moment. Workmen digging in a gravel pit hand him a bone. It is thick. It is stained a dark reddish brown. It looks old, very old. Dawson recognizes it immediately. It is a fragment of a human skull, a hominid skull. He is electrified. He presses the workman. Where did they find it? Were there other pieces? Their answers are vague. They do not share his excitement. Dawson returns to the pit again and again. He searches with feverish intensity. He digs through loose gravel and clay. His hands are caked in mud. He does not care. Over the next years, more pieces emerge. A jawbone with 2 molars, more skull fragments. He is assembling a creature from the dawn of time. Part ape, part human. The missing link, the first Englishman. He shares his findings with Arthur Smith Woodward, a man of immense authority, a gatekeeper of scientific knowledge. Woodward examines the bones with care. He's cautious at first, but the evidence seems compelling. The thick-boned skull looks human. The jaw looks ape-like. Exactly what many scientists expected in an early human ancestor. They believed a large brain developed first, while the jaw remained primitive. This fossil seemed to prove their theory. Dawson and Smith Woodward work together. They reconstruct the skull from fragments. They name it Eoanthropus dawsoni, Dawson's Dawn Man, a tribute to the finder. The meeting hall of the Geological Society was packed. It was December 18th, 1912. The air hummed with anticipation. Smith Woodward was poised and confident. He carried the authority of the British Museum. He would give the discovery its official voice. Then came the moment everyone awaited. Smith Woodward unveiled the reconstruction of the skull. A collective gasp swept the room. There it was, Eoanthropus dawsoni, a creature of 2 worlds, both primitive and advanced, claimed the earliest known Englishman. Not everyone in the room was convinced. Among the rows of eager faces were a few skeptics. The Piltdown skull was more than just a fossil. It was a statement, a deeply patriotic discovery. For years, British scientists had felt a sense of envy. Germany had its Neanderthal. France had its Cro-Magnon. Great Britain had no ancient human ancestor to call its own. The Piltdown man changed that. This nationalistic appeal was powerful. It made people want to believe. The bones fit the prevailing scientific theories. Scientists expected an ancestor with a large human-like brain and a primitive ape-like jaw. The Piltdown man matched that ideal. It fit the puzzle the establishment had designed. Charles Dawson continued searches at Piltdown. He seemed to have an uncanny knack for finding things. He found a canine tooth, ape-like. He discovered a curious tool carved from the thigh bone of an elephant. Each new find strengthened the case. The site yielded secrets only to him. No one else found anything significant. Despite the public celebration, quiet doubts lingered. David Waterston, an anatomist at King's College London, was one of the earliest and most vocal critics. He stated his conclusion plainly. The skull and the jaw were from two different animals, accidentally mixed together in the gravel pit. His theory was logical, it was plausible, but it was dismissed. The establishment had already closed ranks around the Piltdown man. Dissenting voices grew louder on the continent. Marcel Boule was a formidable critic. He saw no intermediate features. It was a clumsy chimera. The British scientific establishment reacted defensively. This was not only science, it was national rivalry. To question Piltdown was, for some, to question Britain itself. Just as the criticisms were beginning to gain traction, Charles Dawson produced a stunning new piece of evidence. This new location was about 2 miles from the original Piltdown pit, and there he claimed he had found more fragments of a second Piltdown man. This discovery was a masterstroke. It seemed to silence the critics completely. The odds of the same accident happening twice were astronomically low. The new finds, which became known as Piltdown 2, consisted of a few fragments. The evidence seemed irrefutable. Smith Woodward announced the discovery in 1917, a year after Dawson's sudden death. Dawson posthumously had won the argument. But there was a problem. A very big problem. No one except Dawson had ever seen this second site. The exact location was a complete mystery. The pieces fit together almost too well. True scientific discovery is often messy. Piltdown was clean. It was, in retrospect, suspicious. The staining of the bones was a key element. But what if the colour was not natural? What if it had been applied artificially? A cleverer forger might file them down. If you file down an ape's molars, you can create a flat surface that looks more like human wear. The forger needed a deep understanding of evolutionary theory to know exactly what the scientists were looking for. He was not just creating a fossil, he was creating the answer to a prayer. The years passed, and the Piltdown man sat securely in his glass case. The world was torn apart by 2 great wars. Science moved on. New discoveries were made in Africa and in Asia. They showed ancestors with small brains and more human-like jaws. This was the exact opposite of the lesson taught by the Piltdown man. He was an awkward, inconvenient piece. He contradicted the emerging picture of our past. By the late 1940s, the whispers of doubt began to return. Kenneth Oakley, a young geologist at the British Museum, developed a new technique. It was called the fluorine absorption test. The principle was simple. The longer a bone has been buried, the more fluorine it will contain. It could determine if different bones found at the same site were of the same relative age. The tests were done quietly, behind the scenes. There was a growing sense of unease, a feeling that they were about to uncover something unpleasant. The first results from the fluorine test were startling. The Piltdown skull fragment was old, but the jawbone told a completely different story. It contained almost no fluorine at all. It was, geologically speaking, modern. This was the first hard scientific proof. The skull was ancient, but the jaw was not. They could not possibly belong to the same individual. But Joseph Weiner was not satisfied. If it was just a mistake, why were the teeth worn down so strangely? He looked at the jawbone again, this time under a microscope. And then he saw it. The flat surfaces were covered in tiny parallel scratches. They were the unmistakable lines left by a file. This changed everything. This was no longer a story of a simple mistake. The file marks were proof of deliberate deception. The Piltdown man was not a man at all. He was a hoax. The news exploded like a bombshell. The scientific world was stunned. The most famous human ancestor in Britain was a fraud. It was a public humiliation. The Piltdown man, the celebrated first Englishman, was officially expunged from the record of human history. The prime suspect was the man at the heart of the story, Charles Dawson. Researchers began to look into his other archaeological finds. They discovered a pattern of deception. One name that emerged from the shadows was Martin Hinton. A trunk belonging to Hinton was found. Inside was a collection of bones, stained and carved in exactly the same way as the Piltdown fossils. The identity of the forger was never proven beyond a shadow of a doubt. The enigma turns the story into a Gothic whodunit. For over 40 years, it distorted our understanding of our own origins. It sent paleontologists down a blind alley. The Piltdown man was a roadblock on the path to knowledge. The affair served as a harsh, humbling lesson. It exposed the danger of confirmation bias and the power of personal ambition to cloud judgment. The forger's method was a masterclass in understanding the psychology of science itself. He was not just creating a fossil, he was creating the answer to a prayer. The Piltdown man was not just a hoax made of bone and chemicals, it was a hoax built on a deep and cynical understanding of the human heart. A quiet echo of a perfectly crafted lie, a whisper that still haunts the halls of science, reminding us to question everything.